Let's read the problem below, then explore how to solve the problem using the formula for the circumference of a circle. If you don't remember what the formula is for circumference of a circle, look at your reference sheet, alright, or you can look at the previous video. Nadia drew a design for a copper wire sculpture as shown below. She plans to make a wire frame that includes the perimeter of the square and the circumference of the circle. I want you to think about that. So it's the perimeter of the square and the circumference of the circle. She has 5 feet of copper wire. Does she have enough wire for the sculpture? And remember to use 3.14 for pi, or at least in this case they're telling you to use 3.14 for pi. You can use the diagram to determine the diameter of the circle. Remember, what is diameter? Okay, so I'm going to just draw it here. This is the diameter, right? From one end of a circle to another, going through the center of the circle. If the whole side of this square, remember they're telling us it's a square, if the whole side of this square is 8.5 inches, the diameter must be 8.5 inches. You can find the perimeter of the square and the circumference of the circle to figure out how much wire Nadia will need. If you don't remember, perimeter of the square is 4 times S. S stands for side. Okay? It even says it over there. And then you have 4 times S, and each side is 8.5 inches. Right? If we go back, 8.5 inches. Circumference of a circle is pi times diameter, where d is the diameter of the circle. So they did pi, remember they told you to use 3.14 times the diameter. Right here. Okay? What is the diameter of the circle? We spoke about that before. The diameter is going to be 8.5 inches. Gave you the answer to the first one. I want you to see if you can solve number 3, 4, 5, and 6. How can you figure out how much wire Nadia will need for the whole frame? I want you to think about that. How much wire will Nadia need? Please show your work for that one. Will she have enough wire for her sculpture? And please explain your reasoning. And then question 6, use your own words to explain how to find the circumference of a circle if you know the radius or diameter of the circle. I would pause this video and answer these questions, and then unpause it, and you will see the answers as we're going to go step by step. Well, the first one we did, so we just went over that twice. So again, obviously it's 8.5 inches. Because we did that, it's the same as the length of the side of the square. The second one, add the perimeter of the square and the circumference of the circle to answer that. So I want you to think about that. How can you find how much wire Nadia will need for the whole frame? Well, if we go back, if you add the perimeter of the square and then the circumference, let me use a different color, the circumference of this circle, sorry that I messed that up, okay, you will have your answer. Alright, so we're going to add the perimeter of the square and circumference of the circle. And how much wire will Nadia need? And show your work. If you got 60.69 inches, you are correct. Show your work. We did that in the previous one of the previous pages, if you remember this one. Okay, and all you have to do is the math. But the perimeter of the square is 4, because there's 4 sides, times one side, which is 8.5 inches. And when you multiply them, you get 34 inches. Circumference of the circle, again, it's pi times diameter. Pi, they told you use 3.14. and then times 8.5 inches. So you got 26.69. And obviously, to find how much wire she will need, you add them up, right? When you add them up, 34 plus 26.69, remember to line up the decimal point, you will get 60.69 inches. Number 5, will she have enough wire for the sculpture? Remember how much wire she has. Okay, 5 feet of copper wire. So this is kind of tricky. Think about that for a sec. She has 5 feet of copper wire. They're talking about feet here. And over here, we're given inches. So think about that. Since there are 12 inches for 1 foot, okay, 5 feet, 5 feet, sorry about that, would be how many inches? Well, it will be 60, right? So look at this. Add it together, 60.69. She has 60 inches. Remember that feet converts to inches. This is where the question gets tricky a lot. And if you rush through it, then you make a mistake. So again, understanding units is very, very important. Okay? So now that we did the math for you, will she have enough wire for her sculpture? And obviously explain the reasonings. We kind of explained it to you. And the answer is no, because she has 5 feet or 60 inches of wire. We just did that. So she needs slightly more than 60 inches for her sculpture. For number 6, it says, use your own words to explain how to find the circumference of a circle if you know the radius or diameter of the circle. Well, there's multiple answers to this, but let's see what they put for the possible answer. There's one possible answer. If you know the radius of the circle, double it to find the diameter, and then multiply that by 3.14, just like the formula gives us. Here are 2 questions that we want you to try. Question number 7. The diameter of a basketball rim is 18 inches. Find the circumference of the rim. Use 3.14 for pi. Question 8. A circular dining room table can seat 11 people. Think about that. Each person has about 2 feet of space along the edge of the table. What is the radius of the table, rounded to the nearest half foot? What I would do with both of these, first of all, I would pause this video, but what I would do if I were you right now is I would draw these out. Once you draw them out, then you'll have the answer. So let me show you now the answer to question 7. Question 7, the answer is 56.52 inches. So the first thing to do is, as you can see, I drew a circle. Good to draw it. The diameter of a basketball rim is 18 inches. So I'm going to draw a diameter, pretend that this is a basketball, and I'm going to label it 18 inches. Okay, because that's the information that's given. It says find the circumference of the rim. We know that the formula for circumference when you have diameter is pi times diameter. And they also tell you to use 3.14 for pi. So we don't have the circumference. Pi will become 3.14. And now the diameter is given is 18. Now when I multiply these, I should get about 56.52. So that's why my answer is 56.52 inches. Question 8 is a little bit more complicated. So we just got to be able to read it carefully and understand. But first let me show you the answer. Hopefully kids got about, or you got about 3.5 feet. Let's look at it. A circular dining room table can seat 11 people. Each person has about 2 feet of space along the edge of the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Did my best. But if it's 2 feet between each, you would do basically 2 times 11, because there's 11 seats, right? 2 times 11. So 2 times 11 is 22. What does that 22 stands for? Well, if it's on the outside, then it's the circumference. So the circumference is 22 feet, right? Because they're dealing with feet. So it's 22 feet. All right, let me use the units. You can use the units for this, 22 feet. Okay? And now it says, what is the radius of the table? Well, we're dealing with radius. So we know that the formula for circumference is C equals, because we're dealing with radius, it's 2 pi r, right? 2 times pi times r. We are given the circumference, so we have the 22. And now basically, instead of pi, we're going to put 3.14. And now they're saying, think about that. 2 times 3.14 times what will give me 22? Well, let's see. 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. Or about 6.28. And now you have an equation, right? 6.28 times what is 22? Well, if I divide 6.28 on both sides of the equation, just like in previous, you can also use flowcharts, obviously, you would see that 22 divided by 6.28 is about 3.5 feet. And that is your answer. Again, if you're struggling with any of these or any problems, best thing to do is pause the video and go back and see it again step by step.